Hey everyone, welcome to the Breakfast Wrap-Up. Introducing ourselves from stage left.
Lincoln, card gaming nerd.
Bethan, your friendly neighbourhood Sonic fan.
Liam, Transformers enthusiast.
Reese, I like cars.
Liam, owner of Keeper Tree.
Dom, I'm a tech nerd. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about some of the changes happening in the DC universe and whether film adaptations are destined to be awful. Now, with that topic, we're talking about a lot of films, so there's just an overarching spoiler warning. If you see us start talking about a film and you haven't seen it and you want to, then maybe just skip forward a little bit. Reese. One more in DC universe.
Right, okay then. So before I start the topic, I would like to throw out an idea. So for people who drive and people who know cars, right? You have a car, you have an engine. You put petrol in the engine. Over time, wear and tear happens. Is it the same engine and the same car?
Yeah, because you haven't replaced anything yet.
Okay. So yeah, but it's a little bit damaged in there.
Yeah.
You put diesel in it. It's a petrol car. Now, it will go a little bit, but it won't go far. So it's a broken car, yeah?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, you'd have to get a whole new car, really, if you want it to progress and you want to advance, yeah?
If you want to advance by what?
We'll say yes.
Advance in the way of a healthy relationship between the car. This has what been going on. This is what's been going on with DC recently over the last 5 years. They've not really figured out what to do. Now, I'm a lover of DC Universe. I love Man of Steel. I think it's one of the best comic book. It's still laugh a little bit. One of the best comic book films ever made, but it's underrated. Then you got Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, so on, yeah? Now, I admit, these films have been mixed reviews of critics and fans around the world. So, the fact that now there's been a whole new reboot of it from when it was taken over by Discovery, and David Zaslav, he's a cool guy. He's now put in charge James Gunn and Peter Safran to control DC on a whole, right? So, unlike where it's over at Marvel with Kevin Feige got talked to people above him to be like, I want to do this. James Gunn and Peter Safran now have an open book. All they got to report to is David Zaslav, yeah?
Right.
So they're rebooting the whole thing. But I have a problem with this reboot because from variety sources, it's called a broad but not a blanket reset. Now, what people might know about it is that some of the actors, like the best Superman ever, Henry Cavill, is no longer playing Superman. But then you get the Shazam actor, Zachary Levi, where someone tweeted him, I want this not to be true because his Shazam is the one thing that the DC Extended Universe would absolutely throw hands for to protect. Now, Zachary Levi responded, oh, I really wouldn't go believe in everything you see on the internet. I'm Gucci Ash. I'm all Gucci. So, have we now come across an area where only some of the actors are staying in the DC universe and some actors aren't? Like, how's this going to work?
I got a thing with that because, unfortunately, I don't know why my Facebook is overrun with Zack Snyder fans, and because I hate them. But basically, it's overrun with them. But they're all of the theory that the reason that Zachary Levi still says that he's in the DC, or he's still going to be in the DC films going forward, is because his film hasn't come out yet. Because
Okay.
a lot of people, I feel, because they say they feel like a lot of fans and a lot of people would be less inclined to go see the film if they knew that he wasn't going to be coming back
Pressure
after
them.
it.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of people these days, especially when it comes to comic book films, feel the need to like everything has to be connected. If there's no sort of plan going forward or any reason to sort of watch it because nothing's coming up next, people won't watch it. People can't watch a comic book film as a film anymore. It has to be as a large product.
Do you mean that? Do you mean that specifically for the Zack Snyder fans?
I'd say for Marvel films as well, because I find that a lot of people go and watch films because go watch the Marvel films because they want to see who gets mentioned, all that stuff. Like Black Panther was one of my favorite. Like the newest Black Panther was one of my favorite ones, just because it was just a film.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reason why a lot of people think that's the reason why he hasn't said he's left yet, because his film is still coming out, and I think that's the whole reason why it is that way. But so a lot of people think once his films come out and it's done,
That'll be it.
then they'll probably announce that he's leaving as well. But that might also not be the case, just because I feel like if James Gunn is going to be taking over the DC universe, I feel like Shazam is one of those characters that would fit in
Well,
with James Gunn's style really
Yeah.
well.
so there's also another issue. This is my major issue with DC. So I'm more of the thinking of you gotta put the characters before the actors in anything you do, yeah?
Sure.
So film, anything you do. You can't have one of the best actors in the world in a film if no one goes and sees that film. Because overall, the actor could have so much power outside of like into the social media and followings and stuff like that. But if the film flops, the film flops. That's what it is, yeah. So can someone explain to me, if you're rebooting everything, let's say we're doing a hard reboot, we're rebooting everything, how can you still have a Suicide Squad?
Different universe.
Now, you could be like, yeah, that's a different universe, exactly like that. But on a connected, let's say it's just a connected universe, yeah? How can you still have Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn from an old universe, but then be like, but Ben Affleck's not Batman?
Let me put it to you then, right? Bear with me. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Why did all the alternate universe selves look exactly the same as the original ones? Why can't that just be the case in DC?
It can, but the problem is you're going to have to repeat the question because I didn't understand it.
So in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, so say this reboot in terms of the grand scale.
I'm just going to say, you're talking about Multiverse of Madness. Spoiler warning.
That's
You're probably going to talk about some details of the film, yeah?
I'm just going to talk about the fact that I'm not going to mention any names, but basically, so Multiverse of Madness, right? So in the grand scheme of things, this DC reboot, separate universe, yeah? Compared to the original, Zack Snyder's, whatever the hell he was doing when he had the reins. So in Multiverse of Madness, the other universe versions of people, the characters in the film, look exactly the same as the original versions.
Yeah.
Just with minor differences.
Okay.
Why can't that be true for some of the characters in the new DC reboot?
Because you're then saying they look exactly the same, but then you're getting rid of Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot.
Yeah, not all of them have to look the same, because look at the Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
I do have a good reason for that. Multiverse of Madness is one contained film that addresses all of the multiverses in that film. We're talking about a continuity that spans multiple films. Some people might have only seen the latest entry in the DC universe and then a new one where they're expected to just know that some things have rebooted and changed.
Mm.
So from an audience perspective, if you're going into that film and you're seeing some of the old actors, but you've heard somewhere that there's been a reboot, you don't know where you stand in terms of what else you've seen in the past is still applying to this film. So you might just end up confused. I think a lot of that depends on the order in which they start releasing films now.
Yeah.
So if they just start from scratch in terms of building up the universe again, assuming that's what they go there for, and they just start doing solo films for all the characters again, then fine, you're not going to be confused.
I was going to say, and jump on that and be like, I think that's probably what they're going to do, because when you said about the like all of the films having a continuity and the fans are only going to see the continuity for the continuity, they're probably their most successful film, because the fact it's nominated for one of the Oscars now, is The Batman, which has nothing to do with any of the Snyderverse or anything like that. So I have a feeling that what's happened is they put the Snyderverse project out there for Snyderverse fans to see. They got all that fan money, but then they released The Batman with Robert Pattinson, got more money that wasn't the fan money of Snyder films, and was like, one outclasses the other, and they suddenly clicked, and probably the head guys were just like, oh, we don't have to do a Marvel's connected universe. We can just do one shots because people will just watch it. Look at the Joker and look at the Batman. People came out in droves to watch this, and these have been nominated for Oscars. The other films, the Snyder Universe films, weren't nominated as best pictures. They were just nominated for stuff like best soundtrack and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit different though for the one shots, because they use recognizable characters. If they just released a one shot of
Blue Beetle.
They're releasing a Constantine. They're doing
not Constantine,
we love Constantine.
They're doing Blue Beetle.
But
so basically just jumping off Reese's thing and being there, if they're gonna be like, we're gonna scrap all of these actors and we're gonna continue forward, it's just basically everything that you know about the connected universe, just scrap it. It's just one shots now. Shazam is his own film. You only judge him on Shazam. You do not judge him with Superman, Batman, or anyone else in it. He is just Shazam, and you're going there for just that. And they're going to see if Shazam can stand on his own. If he does, then everything's good. But if it doesn't stand well and nobody goes to see it, then they're just going to immediately axe him, which is what they've done with Henry Cavill and stuff. Because as much as the Snyderverse fans come in and defend the Man of Steel film, is just as equally 50-50 of where people are there like, this is the worst Superman. Because he looks the best and he acts the best. The story-wise, though, is not the best.
I think he looks like Superman. He doesn't act like Superman in those films.
Because he kills.
Here's the thing I'm sick of seeing, right, is, again, on my Facebook with all the Snyder fans, talking about James Gunn's coming. He's not releasing anything for a good couple of years, and they're all like, oh, it's going to be... They're like, oh, it's going to be all funny Marvel humour, not fitting the dark DC characters. A lot of people forget the only dark DC character of all of them in those films should have just been Batman.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah.
Superman, the best interpretation of Superman I've seen out of the Snyderverse films was when Joss Whedon took him. The end of Joss Whedon's Justice League, Superman cracking jokes, having fun with everyone. That's Superman. Now, the film was terrible, I grant you that, yes. But a lot of the characters weren't the characters from the comic book. It's just Zack Snyder was like, I like these characters, I'm going to make them gritty. And I don't like films that are dark and gritty for the sake of being dark and gritty. For Batman, it makes sense. Like Robert Pattinson's film, that was just dark and depressing, but it fit.
Well, he is a regular human up against an entire city of psychos.
It fit. It's just a city that's just ridden with organised crime, and it's just dirty and gross, isn't it?
Yeah,
so that fit. But when Superman's just flying through buildings with no care for human life within them, it's a bit different, isn't it? Superman.
It's the thing of how can you relate to Superman at that point, being dark and gritty? Him being there like, you don't understand what I have to do. I have to hold back my powers to make sure I don't destroy the earth. And it's just like, don't relate, my guy. Don't relate. I would love to be able to just walk out into the sun and immediately lift a car. Can't relate to this. But Batman is there he's there like, oh, someone's getting mugged, I've got to stop them. And Batman's just regular peak human. it's the whole thing of anyone can be Batman, but you gotta put in the work and have billions of dollars. No one's gonna be Superman.
Best superpower, rich.
Rich.
Well, that's what he said, isn't it, in Justice League? That side of the Justice League.
I thought it was the Josh Whedon one where he says he's rich. Or am I mixing
It
it up?
is.
Because I've watched the film twice and there's two different
Here's the thing,
interpretations.
Link, with those two films. A lot of the cringy stuff that was in the Joss Whedon one was also in the Zack Snyder one, so...
I mean, Zack Snyder one was like double the length of
3 hours
Josh-
long.
Yeah, how you double the length and still be
near
nice.
4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, right? So James Gunn has come out and said on Twitter, although this first month of DC has been fruitful, building the next 10 years of story takes time and we're still just beginning. You okay?
I'm just reading you.
Oh, okay. Now, I like that. That's a really positive thing to hear from the head of the DC universe.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I just want Ben Affleck back as Batman. Like, he absolutely demolished Batman v Superman. See the size of him, like.
Again, that's the whole thing of he looks like the character.
He was so good.
He's like Batman,
He
though. in those-
does. He does. How does he not have Batman?
Killed a bunch of people, bro.
Batman killed a bunch of people in the comics.
He doesn't that often, bro.
No. Yeah.
He does every now and again in like the same context as Superman killed Zod at the end of Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I have to, otherwise more people are gonna die. But more often than not, Batman doesn't kill people. He
Yeah, more often than not. But then that's where
also
you
used
see...
a gun.
Yeah, okay.
He hates guns on a fact that it's a gun that killed his parents.
Yeah. I understand that bit. But we could be like, but that's an adaptation. Yeah? So, like, I understand it. But it was just so cool to see a grizzly older Batman. Because that's what Batman is in the Dark Knight comics, yeah?
Yes, but that's the thing. He's based off of the Dark Knight Returns comic, which is that big old, like, just come out of retirement Batman.
Yeah.
But again, you don't kill anyone in that comic book.
But this is the thing now, see, because you go the adaptation route of things, because we're then going, at what point do you deviate from the story to make it more interesting to, not to us, because we'll go and see it anyway, yeah, but to general audience, it's new seeing Batman have a gun. Yeah,
That's so dumb.
it's weird.
Why does anyone care that Batman has a gun?
Because
General audience who doesn't know Batman, why do they care? Why
Reese,
is Batman
Reese.
having a gun more interesting than him not using a gun ever? I would argue that's completely opposite.
But you got the thing of every film you've never seen him with a gun.
Yeah.
So if something's happened for him to have a gun, I can hear him heavy breathing.
Something's
in my
happened
ear.
for him to have a gun. Do they ever give you a reason?
Yeah,
What's the reason?
he's fed up.
It's not a very good reason. Is it?
No, nothing that actually explained in the film. That's just from all like
He's just gritty and old, and he's tired and fed up of the world.
There's another avenue of Batman getting old. One of the animated series. Bruce Wayne gets old and is training a younger Batman. He still doesn't use guns.
my thing is, Reese, are you just saying that when we get older we're all gonna start killing them?
No, so we're going to start running around with an AK-47 or anything like that. But you got to remember, right? So the Batman of Batman v Superman, he obviously you got the general background of Batman, yeah, how he becomes Batman. But then you got the Robin side of things, where Batman, obviously Robin was killed by the Joker. But
There's a general audience to that though, because that's never explained.
yeah, but all you have to do is look at it.
Yeah, but they're gonna look at that costume because
And-
it looks nothing like a Robin costume because it's all dark.
But it's got an R on it.
For someone who doesn't know it, what does that mean? That's a fan hint. Anyway.
Walks into the cinema, watches that film, and then she looks at the costume and goes, "She's not gonna look at that costume. Look at Bruce Wayne. And go, oh, look really sad at it. She's not gonna go, Joker killed Robin. He's fed up with the world. That's why he's killing people.
I would turn to him and go, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
Because I have no knowledge of anything to do with superheroes.
And that's completely reasonable, right?
So
Yeah. This is something that we talked about offline, actually, is that when you're talking about films like this and you're talking about a big universe, you can assume no knowledge of the audience.
Yeah.
You have to explain everything.
Okay, yeah. But then you go in 100% agree, yeah, with what you're saying now, yeah. 100% agree. But once it's like you gotta remember at that point there'd already been films in the DC universe
Yes.
before that film.
Sure.
So there's been a story element. I can see his finger.
There was one film before that film.
No, there wasn't.
Before Batman vs Superman.
There was more than one.
There's one film.
There's more than one.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
Man of Steel?
You got Wonder Woman.
That was
That was after Batman
yeah,
vs
for
Superman.
sure.
also has nothing
Because
to
they
do with
introduced Wonder Woman in Batman vs Superman.
Okay, so there was one film before Batman v Superman, yeah,
which doesn't
But-
interact with Robin at all.
which doesn't interact with Batman. That's all we will talk about that.
Yeah.
But listen, yeah,
Yeah. Listen.
wait. Let's go back to the main topic of discussion. Let's not go off on it.
I can imagine the listeners at home there like it's the main topic.
The main topic of discussion is that Peter Safran and James Gunn have taken over DC. This is a good thing. We got a 10-year plan coming. We can go.
Let him finish.
Let him cook.
We got a 10-year plan coming of what's happening. James Gunn has written a Superman film. It's a young Superman where he's got all his powers, but he's just started out in the Daily Planet as Clark Kent. So he's young in that sense of Superman, yeah. But James Gunn has also said they're concentrating on trilogy. So you got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. So they're gonna be the main core of what's moving forward. They've also said there is other worlds going on. So you got the Batman film, you got the Joker film, which are completely separate.
Sure.
So people don't have to worry about them. It's
What
all
do you mean by completely separate? Do you mean they're separate universes? Do
Yeah.
you different continuities?
yeah,
like the
separate
idea.
universes.
Yeah.
So when you go and see, say, a Batman film which isn't Robert Pattinson, the audience will be able to go, they're different Batmen. You have one Batman for a DC universe. You got the Robert Pattinson Batman. Now, I can talk about this all day because I'm now starting to warm up on this. I feel like
I've got a main question for you then. 'Cause
Well,
obviously,
not
obviously this has got you worked up, right?
yeah.
Obviously. Are you gonna watch these James Gunn films?
Yeah.
Oh, why are you worried about it then?
I'm not worried, but I'm sharing news about it. We are a news topic.
My thing is, I like that they're doing like this connected universe of like superheroes, and then they've got the Batman Robert Pattinson film, the Joker as separate things. Because I think they need something to separate them from what Marvel's doing.
Yeah.
So if they can have one shot, one off like stories that don't really go anywhere in terms of the larger connected universe, I think they need, because what they call them, Elseworld stories.
Elseworld, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they need something like that to help differentiate them. And again, I think, like you said, it also helps with the audience being able to go watch a Robert Pattinson Batman film and not have to worry about what Superman's doing off in the other city or something like that.
It also gives a lot of the other characters in the DC universe a lot more freedom with what they do. Because again, like the Green Arrow before they did the extended universe with the Flash, the TV series, Green Arrow being basically Batman Green Arrow fit because everyone who was coming into it with a fresh perspective was just basically like, wow, this is a dark and gritty Green Arrow. It's entirely different. And the Justice League doesn't even exist in this universe until obviously they brought in all of the multiverse stuff with it, with Flash and all that. But until that point, Green Arrow was just a rich guy with a bow and arrow in a city trying to stop crime. If we now then put that in the fact of like, there's film universes with Superman and stuff, it just almost makes them feel pointless, especially since we know Superman's feats. Superman could solve a lot of the world's problems. He just doesn't.
I'm just laughing because you said feet.
And on that point, should we move to the next
But
topic?
yeah, so like I'm optimistic about it.
Yeah.
What's coming up next with DC? I think it's going to be good. And I'm happy and excited for it. It's going.
I'm just gonna hold out judgment because again, he's just said what he's gonna do. He hasn't actually put anything out yet.
Yeah. Now, fair point. He might put out the first film, and it might be absolutely awful. Yeah.
It might be better than Man of Steel.
It might be better than Man of Steel, but it won't. But it might be. But
You're not that optimistic, then, are you?
do you know what? It's not got Henry Cavill in. It's not got Ben Affleck in. I got me sad, but I understand.
Okay.
Like, you gotta move on with things. If you want to grow, there's that saying, if you want to grow, you gotta cut a little bit of yourself off. Sometimes.
Are you a lizard, bro?
No. No.
Yeah, can you expand that analogy? If you want to grow, sometimes you got to cut a bit of yourself off.
I'm not saying physically cut like an arm or a leg off here. I'm just saying that if you want to grow, sometimes you gotta cut a little bit of yourself off. Whether that's how you are, how you act, how you react. You cannot, all six of us cannot sit here and be like, we're the same person as we was last year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I was, but I wouldn't say that I cut anything out.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Physically, we're the same person.
No, wait.
I wouldn't say I'm the same person that I was.
Same bones, boy.
I wouldn't say I'm the same person, but I wouldn't say that's through anything I've done purposefully.
But you see, this is where we're going completely off topic here. So let's like do a universe thing and swing it around. Yeah.
Let's reboot. Let's go.
Let's reboot.
Talking about the same things, actually. Keep talking, because that's what we're doing.
Well,
right?
half of us have change.
Yay.
Oh,
All right.
God, we have to get rid of people. Hang on.
I'm not saying you gotta get rid of people. I'm just saying, like, but if you want to grow sometimes, not all the time, sometimes, a minority of time, maybe twice in your life, 3 times in your life.
Caused a breakdown.
We've broken him.
If you want to grow, you've gotta cut a little bit of yourself off. You gotta go, this is toxic for me. This is not a healthy relationship for me. I have to leave it behind. Now, I understand some people struggle with that, but we aren't talking about the inner working part of a human being here. We're talking about DC universe on a whole.
I don't know. I feel like we've gone from our podcast to loose women in like 5 minutes. Like I don't know how we've gone. Hey. People listen to loose women.
I haven't know, yeah.
Maybe.
It's also a success because it's still good. It's more successful than the last DC universe because it's still good and they got the same characters on it.
No, they do change them.
Now and again, they do change up fully. I agree. No, I
do.
I'll tag out for the reboot of the Geek Retreat podcast. Craig, you want my spot?
Let me have a drink and we're going to move on to the next topic because otherwise I'm going to just be screaming.
Okay, moving on to film adaptations. Lincoln, why don't you start us off? You can talk about DooM.
Yes. I have a different take with DooM because I saw DooM, the film, which came out in 2005. It stars Dwayne Johnson, Carl Urban. Carl Urban is in The Boys now. He's playing, I forget his name.
Billy Butcher.
Billy Butcher. So, and everyone knows Dwayne Johnson, The Rock himself. I watched that before I even played any of the games. And when I watched that film, I thought to myself, this was an okay film, like a 6 out of 10. Well, audience reviews are going to be a bit different to that. IMDb gave it a 5.2. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 18% as a critic score. And audience gave it as low as 34%. failure. I thought it was okay. And then I played the games. And my thing with adaptations is because we're going to be talking about stuff like how you always see on the internet on how like people will be like, all adaptations are like bad. And I'm there like, Doom's main problem, I think, is that because the reboot Doom for PlayStation 4 stuff obviously wasn't out at that point. So I think the problem was Hollywood really didn't trust the source material of Doom, because when I played the reboot, as you have played the reboot as well, Liam, there's not too much of a story in that, and there's not too much of a story in, say, like the official, like original Doom, of where it's just basically you are a guy and demons come and you kill them. They start giving you more lore as it goes on, but if you literally come into the Doom games and you're there like, I'm just a guy, demons attack Mars, I kill demons, and you think that's the plot, you got it. And I think Hollywood were there like, ooh, that's not going to stand as a film on its own. So they were just frightened about sticking to its source material. When I was talking to you in the car, Dom, and I said to you, if they just tried John Wick with it, it would have been amazing.
I was just about to say that, because in the games, a Doomslayer has the same motivation as John Wick.
For anyone that doesn't know, the original Doomslayer, in about, I think it's like level 3, they show a clip, and it's like a pet rabbit, and it's there on the field in Earth, and then all of a sudden it's its head on a pike, and then when you get to the end of episode 3, it's Doom Guy holding the head of the rabbit, and it's there like, the demons are gonna pay for what they did to your pet Daisy. In short, Doom Guy went on an entire killing spree of hell because they killed his pet rabbit.
It's king behavior.
King behavior.
In Doom Eternal, in your base, is a painting of the Doom Guy holding a bunny rabbit.
I love it.
There?
Yeah.
So
That's a real man there.
Hollywood didn't realize in 2005 they were sitting on a gold mine, because all they had to do was have Doom Guy like be there, like, you know, in a sarcophagus or something, like, you know, just chilling there, and a bunch of scientists come in. They could have been there, like, you know, we could have like a wacky team of scientists, like, you know, the one guy there, like, we're just gonna die because hell spawn are here and they're killing us all, and they're like, shut up, Dave, open up the door, and he's there like, oh, we're just gonna let another demon out, which just says here, do not open, and they're just like, well, hell's on the other side of this, so just open the door. And they open the door, and Doomguy can just walk out, see his armor, put on his armor, and then he just points at someone, and they're just like, what? And he's like, I think he wants the gun. I'm not giving this man a gun. He's just walked out of a coffin. And then they could, like, Hellspawn could have then ripped through it, and he could have just taken the gun, and we could have had a John Wick montage, and just every bit of a John Wick montage then gets broken up by these scientists basically going, oh, this guy's nuts. He can probably save us. And then one person's like, no, we gotta close the portal to hell. Otherwise, like, they're gonna get to Earth and destroy it. And one guy's like, I really don't care. I just want out of this ship. So can I just leave first? And then Doom Guy can just, like, you know, look at the person who said there's a portal to hell and just look at them and just stare at them for the end. Like, you can just have a wide shot of these scientists arguing and just be there like, there's a portal to hell, and Doom Guy just looks at the guy and just stares at him for the whole thing. And then after that, it's just the dialogue. Then it's just the scientist talking as Doom Guy says nothing and kills aliens for 1 hour and demons for 1 hour and 30 minutes, and it would have been a gold mine.
To be fair, before John Wick came out, I would have said that Doom would have been a hard game to sort of adapt, just because, again, it's how you sort of make a film out of a silent protagonist that just goes around and kills demons.
Oh yeah, before John Wick, yeah. But Doom 2005 had that really good section of the first-person camera that they did do. Yeah, and all of the Doom fans were there like, that was amazing. And it was only like a short 6-second clip. They could have done that for the intro of this film, and then like the next bit been like, you know, a third person like camera angle. They could have just done like loads of wacky stuff with it. Yeah. But Hollywood was just so frightened that the general masses would just see Doom, be like, it's a video game like film, and just not pay attention to it. And they didn't know what to do with the story, so they just came out with generic sci-fi story.
I have to wonder why Hollywood was scared of that, because at the time Doom was considered a controversial game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to use a controversial source material,
Just go for
why
it.
wouldn't you lean into that?
Yeah,
Yep.
just full out go for it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know exactly what you're working with.
Yeah.
You've got an audience there who likes this stuff, obviously, because Doom was a massive success. So it feels like a shame to try and generalize that, because that probably just made it worse.
Did this come out before or after Doom 3?
Did
It was
same
2005.
year. Doom 3 was 2004.
Yeah.
Doom
No.
3 Resurrection of Evil was 2005.
Because
That seems like a DLC.
Doom 3, the video game,
It became survival horror. at
Didn't-
the point, didn't it?
didn't have anything to do with the Doomslayer that we know.
Yeah.
It was just a Marine on Mars. It was still demons, but in the film it's not demons. Is it?
Sort of is, yeah. Because as far as I remember, it's they basically find out that certain people with a specific gene were linked to a certain race of either aliens or demons, and that's why if you then got hit with some sort of like chemical attack from the demons, you then either turned into the demon monsters, or you then became the main character Carl Urban, who all of a sudden just became a superhuman.
'Cause wasn't that whole like, I guess philosophical, but wasn't that the whole thing that like one of the characters that was like a really good guy
Yeah.
ended up turning into like one of the monsters because he just had the gene, but then the guy who was like
Mixed, good.
was like a not a very nice guy, Carl Urban's character.
Yeah,
He ended up
having
being
the gene,
being
so
one
he
of the
was-
people that didn't have like the evil gene or something like
Mhm.
that.
It's a weird one. Again, like it just seems like they just didn't understand the sort of gold mine that they were on. But there's a problem, say, like with all the bad Hollywood adaptations, is that they sit on these really good IPs that they can do anything with. The Last of Us has gone the route at the moment, and the fans are blessed with the content, because apparently it's just basically shot for shot remake of the games, but everyone's loving it because they're like they're getting to see this, like, we'll call it a higher level acting. No shade thrown to the voice actor. But I'm pretty sure, like, Troy Baker said himself that he was there, like, he's seen with Pedro Pascal playing Joel, that he's there, like, I've seen the character in a new light because of the way that this adaptation has been done. So you can either go frame for frame what the game is, or you take its source material and just basically go, what is it? And it's just angry guy kills things, and they just go, cool, run with it. Don't try to change the whole thing to be philosophical. Just be like, okay, cool. This is what it is. Go with it and build off that.
I think the issue is as well is it's not a good film on its own. I think that for an adaptation to be good as well is I can't just sort of sit there and be like, my whole enjoyment of the film can't just come from, I recognise that from the game.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's that thing. That can't be what my whole enjoyment comes from. I have to be able to enjoy it as a film as well. Whereas Doom is kind of like, you can go like, oh, look, they're on Mars, look, demon people, but it's just a crap film.
Oh yeah, the adaptation is, but you see loads of people that will go watch horror films just literally for the gore. They'll be there, like, critics have said it's a really bad film, and they're just like, I don't care. They go to see the Saw film, like, I don't care, I just want to see people die. There's going to be a market for people there, like, I don't care, I just want to see demons die in stupid ways. I want to see a guy jump off a like table and clothesline a demon that is just basically a floating eyeball. That sounds lit.
Yeah. But that's good film. That's what you're describing.
Hire me, Hollywood. I will do better Doom for you.
What you're describing is good cinema. Whereas instead of just watching Marines walk through a facility and shoot things, just shoot them.
Yeah.
Not even in creative ways. That's boring.
Can I also ask, what other films came out around it? Because
around 2005.
yeah,
That's an
because
ask.
you could maybe also go down the route of, was Hollywood ready for a film like that in that era of time?
This is when we
Ready for crap.
ready.
No, but like
Oh wow. So first I saw was Tom Cruise War of the Worlds,
It's that film.
Revolver, The Cave, Red Eye, Unleashed, Lord of War with Nicolas Cage, Zathura, A Space Adventure, Get Rich or Die Trying, A History of Violence, The Island,
The world is an adaptation.
Fantastic Four, I think, as well.
The original one.
What?
I'm sure I've seen the adaptation.
Batman Begins.
Oh, probably Batman Begins.
Films
as
are
well.
adaptations.
Begins.
Sorry, we're talking over each other.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, Nick.
I was saying, Batman Begins, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Fantastic Four, Elektra, Into the Blue. So yeah, they had a lot of action films out then.
A lot of crap films as well.
A lot of films, yeah, but you know. But it was at the point of where Hollywood was at the time doing a lot more experimentation with CGI, especially since they were starting off their superhero films. So it's shocking that they didn't try more with Doom.
Just so no one attacks me, I just want to say the crap films I'm referred to is not Batman Begins. That is like
Oh yeah. That's a good big baseline for it. Of where we had Doom. Doom could have been better because we had Batman.
Actually, reading off that list, that's a lot of adaptations to come out in that year.
Yes,
Because Elektra's a comic book character, Fantastic Four, Batman, all comic book characters. War of the Worlds an adaptation of the radio play.
Mhm.
No, book.
The book, is it?
The book.
What was a radio
No,
play?
it's book. Then it was a radio.
Then it was a radio play.
which caused mass hysteria because people thought it was real. Then it was
Yeah.
a film in the 50s, and then it was a film in 2000.
Ah,
That's War of the Worlds, by the way.
Tangent.
Can I just say so as well? You just remind me. When I went to see the War of the Worlds experience in London, they said
Lucky.
sorry, it's a quick one. They said about the radio play causing mass, panic. People were going out in their gardens and shooting the sky.
Yeah.
What?
People were actually shooting at the sky.
This was
because
back
they
in
thought-
like
Not deep.
the 30s. Bearing in mind.
Yeah, Batman, yeah.
That was like in the 30s, like 30s, 40s roughly. So like obviously war was still quite fresh,
Yeah.
like the First War and all. But yeah, it caused mass hysteria, and they had to apologise formally for it.
Just thinking because it was like during the war, after the war times and stuff, and I'm just imagining just a bunch of people being there like hearing on the radio aliens have invaded, and they're like, we fought each other, now we gotta fight the sky.
Moon spotted.
But yeah,
Coach closer together.
it just reminded me. So sorry, carry on.
Yeah, you'd have to go on a tangent.
Oh yeah, my tangent. 2 tangents. First one, Elektra. Like I know the film's terrible. For her is, I kind of love her for Jennifer Garner though. Like I have so much appreciation for her as an actor, and like I absolutely adore Jennifer Garner. Second one, jumping back to gory films. Most gore that you've seen, like the goriest films you've seen around the table.
Oh, cracking.
Off the top of my head, it's going to be the Saw films.
All right, okay.
Any of the horror films, such as the Saw or the other ones. The one that has caused every millennial child to be there, like if they're driving behind a truck with logs. Destination.
And almost like it's a comedy.
It's just dumb horror.
Can we just like again slight tangent? How many times can the destination be final?
Sleepy final.
Okay,
You knew that.
let's not argue about that. I just want to say that it's called Final Destination because the final destination is death.
It's a good answer. It's a good answer.
I don't go out of my way to watch gory films. I actually prefer not to because I have a very big phobia of eye trauma. I think honestly the most gory films I've watched are 2 Guillermo del Toro ones, which are Pan's Labyrinth and The Shape of Water. There's scenes in Pan's Labyrinth, which apparently is a children's film in Spain, which is mad to me. Yeah, where someone gets absolutely smashed their face in bloody pulp with a broken bottle, and someone then gets their mouth sliced up here, and then he sews it back together, drinks alcohol so it opens, a child gets shot. Like, that's the most gory stuff I watch because I go out of my way to avoid stuff like that usually.
So I wanted to jump off your point of view being that it's a children's film. I remember saying to Sandra, like, oh yeah, Guillermo del Toro's doing the new Pinocchio film. And Sandra was like, I've not heard of this guy. And I was like, he did Pan's Labyrinth. She went, oh yeah, I saw that for a school trip. And I went, you saw it?
Yeah.
I said, what?
Yeah.
And she was like, it was like in like the beginning of high school, we went off and just saw Pan's Labyrinth. I was like, you don't like horror. She was like, that's a horror. And I was like, there's a literal scene where the guy puts his eyes into his hand and holds it up to his face and chases a girl around a labyrinth. And you thought to yourself, it's a comedy.
What about you,
What is your adaptation?
Should we do this?
I had to really think about it.
We'll do quick fire with
It's called. I think it's called The Ruins, but it's one where they get trapped in the ruins somewhere, and the vines around it are like alive or something like that.
All right.
But there's just one scene that sticks out in my mind where they had to like, this person got like gangrene on their legs, so they had to like amputate them. But basically, what they had to do first was break the bones with a rock, and then they had to cut through, and that just no, too much.
Sanctuary.
Okay.
2011. So it was when 3D was out as well. Still don't ask me why I watched it in 3D. I did. But it's about deep sea divers. And there's one bit. Can I say a spoiler for it?
It's
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. Okay. So basically there's one bit where water's rising in caves, so he's trying to get out on the rope, and the girl gets her hair stuck in the lock,
Oh no!
and you see it rip
Oh,
her skin off her, and it like goes all the way, and you're like, nah, that's too much for me. But that was mine.
mine's gotta be Hostel.
Oh,
Yeah. So you just told me about your phobia, so I'm not going to mention like the
No, go for it.
actual.
I'll just cover my
You sure?
okay, yeah.
So the one bit that like sticks out for me was when like one of the characters gets their eye like blowtorched.
Oh,
And like half their face is like melting away. Oh yeah,
Creme brulee.
it's really burnt. And like that is the one bit that like super freaked me out. Like I'm fine with gore now, like it doesn't bother me, and I find it funny to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But that one scene, I was like, oh, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Mine's just going to be Final Destination.
Okay.
To be honest, I probably can't say too much about it because it was a long time ago that I last watched a film like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something I go out of my way to watch.
Yeah.
I have nothing against it, obviously, but
It's
yeah,
so
it would just be one of the Final Destination films.
It's so funny because they're so stupid.
Yeah. Just
Like my
dumb.
favourite one is the guy that's like weightlifting.
Yes.
And like these swords come down, they clearly cut something on the machine, and he just does it. He's like, "See, I told you I'm invincible." And he lifts his hand and it goes on his head. I was like, "Oh,
All right. So we've had a crappy film adaptation. Beth, I think you have a slightly different opinion.
Yes. So there have been quite bad adaptations I have seen. I wouldn't say that the 2005 War of the Worlds film is a great adaptation of the source material. It's a good film. It's completely different to the actual like original, because the original was set at like the end of the Victorian era.
Sure.
2005 obviously set in 2005. But there is good adaptations, and I'm going to talk about the Sonic movies because they were very good. And I know it's like the notoriety of video game films basically being the most awful trash you've ever seen in your life.
Mm.
And I think the Sonic films basically went, hey, no, and changed people's perspectives of that.
Mm.
And I think they're like two of the highest grossing video game films of all time. And I know they've got insane ratings as well, which as a Sonic fan definitely makes me happy because I saw the second one twice in cinemas. Not the first one, I've only saw it that once. But what I liked is that it took the source material and went, we're putting it into the real world, which I think is where it worked. Like, it didn't just go, hey, let's copy this. There's the film. It went, what if we took this kind of slightly weird premise and went, how can we incorporate this into the real world and make it work? And I just think they did that very well.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see where the third one is going, because obviously we had the spoiler at the end. Am I okay to say the spoiler at the end?
We have an overarching spoiler warning.
Okay, so at the end,
Sounds warned.
at the end of the second film, there's a teaser for Shadow being a character in it, which he was very happy about, as you can see.
Best character ever.
No. It's all right. He mid to me. But I'm curious to see where they go with that, because obviously the first film just basically focused on Sonic and Robotnik. Yeah. The second one brought in Tails and Knuckles. I was like, okay, so we have skipped a few games here, because during that continuity they should have introduced Metal Sonic and Amy, also known as Rosie, at that time. So I'm seeing I want to know who they're going to introduce in the third one, considering they skipped basically Adventure to Battle.
Mhm.
Here's the thing: I don't think they've ever stated that they were following the games game
Yeah,
by game. I think
I
they're
like
just
they're doing the adaptations into the real world, like taking
Yeah.
pieces of like core games that people loved,
Yeah.
and seeing what they do with that. I like that.
I've got a question for you then.
Yes.
Since they've taken Sonic out of his world,
Mm.
but then when we get into our real world, we have Jim Carrey playing Robotnik.
Hmm.
Well, does that mean that in Sonic's world there is another Eggman there?
Eggman, I believe, is from Mobius.
here's the thing that blew my mind, Lincoln, because I looked all this up because I was like, Sonic's an alien in the films. I was like, he's not an alien. I was like, does he just live on Earth in the games? Most of the games don't take place on Earth.
Really?
They take place on the planet Mobius.
It's kind of like how in Sonic X he's seen as an alien.
Because I looked it up because I was like, oh, if Sonic is from the planet Mobius, he's not from Earth. I was like, so did Eggman go to... No, Eggman's from Mobius as well. Eggman's technically not a human.
The comics did mess
Okay.
up. Like,
So they could, in theory, say for the third film, because they should tease Shadow, but they could also be there, like, bring in a animated version of Jim Carrey and make him bigger and stuff, and have Jim Carrey play two characters.
they could potentially.
Could do, yeah.
Yeah, so they could have an animated Robotnik. Because I was there when I saw that Jim Carrey was cast as him. I was there like, not Robotnik, is it? But I've seen from all of the like different scenes I've seen on YouTube, he does a good Robotnik.
I will say, in the defense of them casting Jim Carrey as Robotnik, you're never going to find a man that shape.
Yeah. It's true.
Also, I don't think he's coming back for a version.
He says this a lot.
He says that a lot.
Yeah.
Remember when he retired at the end of Kick-Ass 2?
Yep.
Also, he said he really loved working on the Sonic film.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's passionate for him at this point.
Didn't he also say he'd come back if the script was good enough?
No,
Everything
I'm pretty sure he
gold.
did that for Sonic 2, of where he after Sonic he was there, they were there like, you can't be gone, no, and he was there like, I might come back if the script is good. And then they announced that he was in Sonic 2, and I was like, the script gonna be banging.
I have a theory though that what they may do with the third film is obviously because it looks like in the second one that Eggman just absolutely gets killed, like he falls and all like that. I wonder if they're going to do anything with Stone and make him the next potential villain. So I say, oh no, they're going to do a Shadow first because in Adventure 2 he was technically on the villain side. But I want to see how they work with that story. Because obviously they're incorporating it into the real world. So was he something created on Mobius or in the real world? I want to know what's going to happen.
I hope they
there.
don't go the route of Eggman is just a title that people use to mess with Sonic, because I'm like, one, who would purposely choose the title Eggman?
I want to circle back to something you said earlier, that they skipped a couple of games.
Yes.
You said that by Sonic 2, they should have introduced Amy and Metal Sonic.
Yes.
In what game were they introduced?
CD.
The Sonic CD. So this is me not knowing 100% timeline. The games that I remember first coming out would be Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Sonic 3, where you have Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah.
Were they all before Sonic CD?
The Sonic one definitely was.
Yeah.
The thing with the Sonic CD was it came out, and I can't remember which console it was on, but it wasn't one that was well known. So a lot of people haven't played CD. You usually have to play it on an emulator, whereas you can just still get a Mega Drive wherever you want.
Right, yeah.
But and a little bit of trivia is that Mighty and Ray predate Tails.
Really?
Mighty is Ray is my favourite character, and he is a little baby, and I love him. And I bought a figure of him the other day.
CD come out on the Genesis, but it was just a CD. They had like a whole CD attached.
It was a separate
click
one.
on.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people didn't actually get to play it. It's like it's kind of like how no one got to play Knuckles Chaotix because who had a 32X.
What came out first? Sonic CD or Sonic 3?
I've actually looked it up. Sonic CD was 1993,
Yeah,
and Sonic 3 was 1994.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born the year Sonic 3 came out. My sister was born the year Sonic 1.
Ah, nice. Nice.
See, the thing is, I think as well, I think they pick. It seems like they're picking their characters specifically because the thing is, if they go, oh, we've skipped Sonic 3, we need to introduce Amy, Metal, Tails, and Knuckles in this film. It gets a bit too. I think it get a bit too bloated. I think it can be a good adaptation and not follow
The source.
stuff like beat
Yeah.
for beat. Like in terms of like, I think The Last of Us, I think that works following beat for beat because that's a very story heavy game, whereas especially the early Sonic games, story is kind of background to just play.
Well, they're all silent protagonists, aren't they?
Yeah,
Everyone's silent in those games.
I do think it would be interesting to see what they do with the characters though, because there are a lot of characters that are very integral to certain characters' stories. So, like with Shadow, he's got a few characters that are always in his story, pretty much. So I want to see if they bring them in. Like you can gloss over Metal Sonic because obviously you've still got Eggman as the main villain.
Yeah,
it's not like they're going without a villain there. But like with Shadow, there's a few characters that are huge in his arc in general. So I'm wondering if obviously they'll do something with Maria, who is, she's like the main thing in his story, like his whole.
Well,
character is driven by him.
That'll be easy though, because she's a human.
She's a human, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, there's another character that's very integral to his story. It's Rouge, and I know a lot more people would go see that movie if she was in there for a specific reason.
Big fans of degenerates. Is that what you're saying, man?
I'm both. I got I'm shaking it. I'd like to see if they bring her in. But I'm also interested to see as well if it's gonna incorporate other games into that same game, because I feel like the second one brought in Tails and Knuckles from 2 separate games. So I wonder if they're gonna like bring in other characters from maybe further along games and just see what happens there.
Yeah.
It's so open right now. I'm very excited to see what happens.
Have they followed any story in the game so far in the films?
Loosely, I'd say.
Okay.
Not 100%.
Yeah.
Like, the way they did Knuckles was good, because the way they did Knuckles is very much how Knuckles was when he was introduced. So, like, he was very, like... I don't want to call him dumb, but he wasn't aware of people manipulating him and stuff. That's why he easily ended up being like, oh, well, Robotnik's right. And then he realised at the end, no, he wasn't. Whereas, like, obviously, in adaptations like Boom, he is just a dumb himbo and we love him.
I love Sonic Boom so much.
It's very good. I think they've done Knuckles very good in the films. He's like a character that I don't know a single person who went, I didn't like Knuckles. Everyone goes, oh, stole the show he did. Like, he was brilliant.
I think as well, I think Sonic and his whole, like, sort of cast of characters, I think lends himself to different interpretations.
Oh, yeah.
Because as long as you've got a blue hedgehog that is fast and likes to crack wise sometimes, I think you can do
pretty much
different things with him and you can put him in different situations. Because let's not forget, he's basically been everywhere. He's been in Camelot at one point.
Oh, yeah.
That is true.
Like, he travels through time, he does whatever. Like, there's so much that you can actually do with Sonic, like story-wise and stuff like that. Whereas, like, I'm only talking about Last of Us because it's so recent, but obviously, there's only so many situations you could put Joel and Ellie in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, as it's abandoned, like, run-down city with clickers in it.
Yeah.
You can't be sending Joel to space. Like,
you just said, like, Sonic time travels. I would love to see, like, a spin-off movie of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure with Sonic and Knuckles. Imagine that.
I just want to see Shadow body Sonic.
He most probably will when you think about it. Yeah. So he'll most probably end up then switching sides, like, has happened.
Watch now, there'll be a trailer, and the first thing you'll see in the trailer is Shadow walks up, punches Sonic, and then pulls out an M4. Trailer cuts. And they're like, that's the film.
You're weak.
Drives away.
They need to write an emo song for him in the film, though. If they don't, I'll riot. They don't, I'll riot.
Wonder if they'll get Eminem to do a song.
No, shut up.
I love it.
I mean, like the lyrical genius that was Venom.
Oh, Venom.
Shadow's not like.
Shadow.
I can't believe he would purposefully say Eminem to do. No, shut up.
I love it.
Alright, guys, I think that's all we have time for in this week's episode. Thanks for tuning into the Breakfast Wrap Up. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Peace out.